this was meant to be the fitness and well-being sort of episode, and it was for about half of it. But
We do have a tangent to kind of go off topic.
oh god, yeah. So we're going to be getting someone online with us now. She can introduce herself, but it's fair to say we're going to be trying to get a little bit of lifestyle advice, I think, from her and try and work out what we're doing wrong. And I think we also want to talk about maybe the difference in approach to do these sort of things between being a 20-something and a 30-something.
Yeah, so Athena is 24, we're 33, 34. So we've got a good 10-year age gap between us. So it'd be interesting to see how her, kind of lifestyle and style of living compares to our style of living. uh,
You've done 14 planks today. I've eaten 9 slices of pizza.
You've done 14 planks. I've eaten 14 Jaffa cakes. But it'd be also good to, cast our minds back to when we were 24 and think, how times have changed in 10 years. So hopefully we can pass on some of our wisdom.
Yeah, hopefully we don't sap all motivation and say this is what you're going to end up like anyway.
Just bitter.
So yeah, on that note, I think we'll get her on. So Athena, welcome to Confusions of a 30-something. You're our first ever guest.
Yay, I feel honoured.
So we've been doing a bit of a sort of fitness and well-being kind of episode, or kind of lack of fitness and well-being from mine and Graham's perspective, although we try occasionally. Could you just kind of explain what you do and how you got into it?
Yeah, so if I just say a little bit about myself. So I'm just like a 24-year-old girl living in London. I do have my own podcast called Finding My Fit, which is kind of health and fitness based, sort of a bit of everything. But my main kind of, I guess, social media outlet is Instagram and YouTube. And that's mainly focused around health and fitness. I do, aside from my normal full-time job, I am also an online coach. And I mean, I really enjoy doing that. I'd love to do it, more full time. It's just the case of getting around to it. It's a bit difficult when, you've got bills to pay. You can't really risk going into such an unstable income job. But yeah, so I got into health and fitness about, I would say, like three to 4 years ago. Originally, I mean, I used to dance a lot when I was younger, so I danced until I was about 16. And then after that, I kind of just didn't really do much. But what got me into it was I was basically suffered a 7-year eating disorder from the age of 13 to 20. And when I finally recovered from that, I realised how much muscle I'd actually lost from the eating disorder. And I actually started going to the gym and weightlifting to put on that muscle that I'd lost. And really, I didn't expect to get into it so much and have it become part of my life. I really just wanted to build on the muscle, and then that was it. But then I kind of just fell in love with the gym after that. So here I am today, still loving it.
What I was going to ask you, because that obviously having an eating disorder sounds like a really horrendous thing to go through. But when you, from a sort of physical and practical sort of side of that, when you start going to the gym, try and put on muscle, were you finding it quite demotivating at the start due to the sort of lack of natural muscle that you've got and fatigue and that sort of thing?
Well, I mean, not really, because I think most people, when they first go to the gym and start weightlifting, they don't necessarily, or I didn't know very much about it. Like, I kind of just went to the gym and started trying on all the machines and lifting a few dumbbells here and there. I didn't really know what I was doing, but I found, if anything, I found it motivating because it made me feel like, to me, I don't know, 4 kg was heavy at that time. And I kind of found it motivating because it did make me feel strong, and I knew that I was going there for a reason, to actually kind of get my body back to that quote unquote normal state.
Were you getting that sort of feeling of achievement as you started to see your physical condition change as well, and that sort of maybe further boosted your morale while doing it?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, I mean, the thing is with muscle gain, it takes years, and I wouldn't say I started seeing significant muscle and physique changes until like last year, because it does, especially if you don't know really what you're doing at the start, it does take a while for you to actually see some proper growth.
Graham, I would say we're quite flitting in our motivation, aren't we, for this sort of thing? Like we'll go through state of grace, everything, and then nothing happens for weeks.
Whereas Athena has like, it's her lifestyle. She lives and breathes it. For myself, and try and speak for you as well, that we tend to, it comes and goes off fitness, doesn't it? Especially the diet, especially within lockdown as well. Everyone's diet is kind of, it was out the window. We had that kind of holiday period, didn't we? Where we just kind of ate and drank what we wanted. Well, I did in particular.
You definitely did.
Yeah. So my question was, what's your thoughts on the kind of yo-yo diet, crash diets, and doing it in, certain sectors of the year, as opposed to doing it, as a lifestyle like yourself? Is there pros and cons to it?
So you hit the nail on the head there with regards to it being a lifestyle. You do have to make these changes and think about them in the long run. So I love going to the gym. It makes me feel strong. I like eating healthy foods and eating what's good for me. But I also enjoy having like treat foods and, having like a bit of alcohol here and there. But for the most part, my diet and my exercise habits are healthy. And that's where it really does come into play. You need to make it part of your life, not just a quick fix. Oh, I need to lose a bit of weight, so I go on a diet and then that's it. And like the yo-yo diets, the name does literally say it all. Yo-yo it's termed that because you're yo-yoing up and down with your weight. You're losing all the weight and then you're putting it all back on again, and you just repeat this cycle. There's no benefit to doing that at all. And the reason people yo-yo so much is because they have that initial motivation to lose weight. They'll cut out loads and loads of calories, and then when they start to see the weight loss, they're like, great, that's fine. And then they'll start to increase the calories and eat like normal again. And then they just put the weight back on. And that's why making it a lifestyle is so much more important, because that weight will stay off if you continue to work the healthy eating and exercise into your life.
I agree with that, because I think it's, for some people, it's kind of one thing or the other. There's no kind of balance in between, is it? They can kind of juggle both the fitness and the kind of healthy eating, and then also having the treats in between. For me, it's been like one thing or the other. It's either 100% just kind of on the fitness and the healthy eating, or 100% just on the kind of being lazy and fat, really, I suppose. But that's where the kind of the yo-yo contrast comes in then.
So I think we said about like with the yo-yo diets, of what people used to call it a crash diet, is they're kind of dangerous as well with what some people do with them. Like they have such, so the diet can be so imbalanced that it has other negative effects, like when people used to do Atkins and stuff like that, and they were fucking their kidneys up.
Oh yeah, like I actually hate any extreme diet like that. They're so unnecessary. You want to lose weight or you want to put muscle on, it needs to be a long-term thing. It's not like, none of those diets work where you completely cut out, like, I don't know, like, is the Atkins where you cut out all carbs, is it?
Basically, yeah, it means eating a lot of meat and proteins, from what I understand of it.
I just don't understand it. I mean, that is, if you like carbs, like for me, I'm not gonna lie, I fucking love bread. I could eat bread all day, every day. And if someone told me I had to cut that out, I'd be like, fuck off, because no, I'm not cutting that out. But, and the thing is, like, it's like I like chocolate as well. Like I do have a sweet tooth, especially in the evenings. I like eating chocolate, rice cakes, like all those snacky kind of foods. And people, when I say that to people, they're like, how do you look the way you do and also eat chocolate? And I'm like, you can eat chocolate and still have a good body or still be healthy. It's people have this all or nothing mentality where it's like, okay, I have to cut out all carbs, I have to cut out all chocolate. And it's like, no, you don't. You just have to find the balance.
Yeah. I would say, would you think it's linked to sort of like a lack of patience from people? That they think, well, if I'm going to lose weight, I need to see massive signs of it within a month because I'm going on my holiday, for instance. And they do the same sort of thing with what they eat. In actual fact, my view on this is it's an all-encompassing thing. Okay, so first of all, is magic diets aren't going to work. Would it not be the amount of you need to burn off the relative right number of calories to what you eat? It's as simple as that. Doesn't matter what actual food you eat per se, within reason, but you have to be doing enough exercise and moving around to burn it off. Otherwise, you're just building up fat stores because it's not getting shifted. Is it as simple as that?
Yeah, like when people ask me questions about weight loss or weight gain, it quite literally is a simple equation. If you want to lose weight, the calories in need to be less than the calories out. Like, quite
Funny
simply, that is it. Like you can't get more simple than that. And I understand when it comes to body composition and, you know, amount of fat and amount of muscle on your body, that's when you can start looking at the macronutrients and the types of food. But if ultimately, like, as simply put, it does come down to calories in versus calories out. And that's where people they forget that it is that simple, and they start to get confused over all these different types of food and the time of eating and the amount and all this kind of stuff. But it really is that simple.
Yeah. I can imagine if you're going to be like a bodybuilder or something, like, that's where you're saying that you get into all these sort of like really detailed scientific diets where you're going to be eating tuna at 2:00 in the morning 6 times a week, other bullshit like that. But for the majority of us to live a decent, healthy lifestyle, balanced diet, making sure you're getting the right vitamins and nutrients, don't just concentrate all on one side of it. Is that right? And not eating way more calories than what you're capable of burning off. That's realistic.
I think what people have a lack of when they do these crash diets is the actual exercise. They think the diet itself is going to make them lose all the weight. But like you said, they're not doing the exercise on top of that to counterbalance and counteract it, are they?
No, yeah, the exercise. I mean, as a coach, if someone does want to lose weight and they're already on kind of a standard amount of calories, I would actually encourage them to exercise more and keep the diet the same, because I'm very wary about people cutting out a lot of calories, because it's better in terms of overall health to increase exercise as opposed to decrease food intake, because when you start to decrease the food intake, you're gonna slow down the metabolism. Obviously, exercise we all know that is good for you, and if you can find it in yourself to increase that, you're gonna have more overall benefits compared to just restricting your food.
I remember a year or two ago, someone in an office I was working at was drinking Slim Fast. I just thought, fuck me. Like, how on earth do you expect that to lose? I'm going on holiday in a couple of weeks' time. Like, well, you're not going to lose 3 stone immediately.
Yeah,
you're drinking Slim Fast, and you're just going to be fucking miserable.
I don't understand those. I don't understand those Slim Fast shakes, because they have like 300 to 400 calories in them, and I'm like, you could just eat a healthy fucking meal that's probably the same amount of calories, but you're actually going to enjoy it. Like, why are you drinking a milkshake?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose the big thing that it's so nice to talk to someone who's sort of spent a lot of time in this sector, has got what seems to be a far more balanced view than what we see of perhaps some influencers and YouTube ad sellers and stuff like that, where you get some guy called fucking Chad or something who's absolutely ripped and say, I've got the 3 secret things. There's no fucking secret. Surely there's no secret to this, surely. Does that not really rankle with you when you see people like pushing diet pills or pushing these sort of like guru kind of lessons at people who are maybe a bit gullible to it?
Oh yeah, like, I mean, the reason those dickheads are doing that is because they're getting paid a lot of money, and I mean that's simply it. They don't use those products themselves, and they probably know it's all bullshit, but they're getting a lot of dollar for that, so they don't really care. And that's where it comes down to picking the right influencers to influence you. Like, you follow people who are legitimate and not going to be just taking money and promoting this crap.
I suppose is that where if someone was looking, for instance, to something like Instagram or YouTube for sort of advice, and obviously they're trying to make a positive step, trying to make a positive change. What things should people be looking out for from influencers and stuff, like where they think, oh, alarm bell should be ringing in, this is bullshit? Would it be people who are doing heavy product placement, for instance? Would that set alarm bells off in your head?
Well, I mean, product placement is fine. Like sometimes I do paid posts and paid ads and stuff on Instagram, but I think it's pretty obvious when the ad is, it's either not really in line with what the influencer does, or like if it's like a diet pill or some kind of thing that they're claiming made them magically lose 10 stone. You can smell bullshit. You know that's not. I think it's quite obvious, and that's why I wonder why these influencers actually do it, because it's so obvious when they've just been paid a lot of money and they don't actually care about the product
Or the people.
Yeah, or all the people that they're influencing.
To the big books. I think we I don't know whether you guys agree with now, but my opinion is we live in a world where we're starting to maybe become a bit more conscious. There's a lot more vulnerable people out there than we realised. There's not a lot of care in that sense, and people are being exploited all the time for various things, and particularly around like being sold a lifestyle that they're not capable of having. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that happens a lot, and especially with, there's a lot of young girls on Instagram now that are following these big celebrities, and it's no wonder that eating disorders are on the rise when there's celebrities promoting weight loss here, there, and everywhere. And we're kind of, it's kind of drilled into us through social media that we need to be taking all these pills and, cutting out loads of calories, and it's kind of like drilled into us through social media. And I think in particular Instagram is quite bad for that.
It does seem like an incredibly shallow place from my experience of Instagram. But I'll be honest, I can barely fucking use it. I have to get Graham to do anything pod related on Instagram. I managed to get a promo onto it, and I nearly smashed my phone against a wall trying to do it. It's like, why is this so unintuitive to use? Or I'm just fucking old and I can't hack it. I don't know what it is.
To be fair, I mean, Instagram is the main platform that I use. But I actually, the Instagram account that I have now, I started like 3 years ago, and it was before people used Instagram for business. I feel like Instagram is a very business orientated app now, whereas when I started my account, it was more just for fun. But it's very much now, everybody's paid for this post, and all these companies are on Instagram as business.
I agree. I think platforms like this are sort of ripe for exploitation, because at the end of the day, apps are harvesting data of customers there for people to use, and they can realize, oh, actually, there's loads of young girls that we can sell this product at, for instance. So we'll pay one of the main influencers or celebrities to start pushing it. It kind of seems to follow on from where women's magazines were for a long time, like just preying on insecurities and pushing things at people that really aren't good for them because they just really don't give a shit. It's almost like it's all designed to hammer people's self-esteem at times, or certain parts of it are.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I don't blame Instagram itself as, an app.
It's a platform, isn't it?
Yeah, like it's more just the influencers on there. There's a lot of people that have millions of followers, and, when someone's offering to pay you thousands of dollars for one post, that's where it comes down to the person's integrity, and if they decide that it's worth the money to promo something like that could affect a lot of young people, that's their call, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
But it is kind of worrying though. It's to be fair, there's a lot of people I follow, like similar girls to me, that are promoting it as a lifestyle, and they have really good content. And a lot of the time I do see people sharing on their stories their anger when a celebrity posts these kind of weight loss miraculous products. And, I think a lot of people are becoming aware of when influencers are just doing it for the money.
My main thing to ask was just kind of in terms of motivation. Your motivation compared to our motivation is completely different. So what do you do to get kind of motivated, to get you in the right mindset, to actually get up in the morning and do your exercises?
Yeah, so, a lot of people ask me this actually. And I think again, like that's where it comes down to making it part of your life. To me, I don't need motivation to go to the gym because it's a habit for me now. It's like every day I know that I'm going to, well, when they're open, every day I'm going to get up, I'm going to go to the gym. I go to the gym as soon as I wake up. So if I'm working like a 9 to 5, I'll get up at 6, I'll go straight to the gym, and then I'll go straight to work. For me, that's like my routine. I don't even need to think about it. Even if I'm feeling a little bit like, meh, I don't really want to go, I just fucking go anyway. And it's usually fine, and I usually have a good workout. And that's where it's like motivation will always come and go. It ebbs and flows. And I do go through phases where I'm like, oh, I just can't be arsed with the gym right now, but I still go because it's part of my life, and it's like a habit for me.
Yeah, that's a key thing there, routine, isn't it? When you're in the routine of, eating well and going to the gym, it comes as second nature. But when you're out of the routine, as like me and Chris, you get stuck in that rut and that routine of just doing nothing really. And it's just kind of, kick-starting yourself again, isn't it? And finding that love. So to get back into it.
Oh yeah, definitely. But then, yeah, I think a lot of people, they do go through these phases, but it's, at the end of the day, it comes down to how much do you actually care and how much do you want. Like, if you really care about living a healthy lifestyle and you know how good it is for you, then you will find the time and you'll make the effort to go to the gym. But I think a lot of people just don't care that much.
I was saying to Chris yesterday, actually, in terms of motivation and getting up and doing it again, it's finding that drive. Like, how would you advise us to get up and do that and get off our asses and get back into a routine? Because we have what we were saying yesterday is we've got the mindset of when we were 20 years old that we could run 3 miles in 17 minutes or something like that. But when we actually go and do it now, our current state, it's we'll get 100 meters down the road and that's it. So how would you advise us to kind of get back into that kind of mindset really in that routine?
Yeah, well, they do say that if you don't use it, you lose it. So I think it does depend on what your goal is, but I think it's a case of just force yourself to go to the gym for like the first few weeks, and then you'll find as you get used to, like, yeah, you might have to force yourself at first, but then you will just get into the habit over time. And I think really understanding why you're going to the gym. So are you going because you want to put muscle on? Are you going because you want to improve your endurance? And understanding why. It's like a motivation. Like I like to have a goal all the time, whether it's to increase my deadlift weight, whether it's to build size on my legs, whether it's to be able to run faster. And when I have a goal, I can use that as motivation to push myself when I'm at the gym.
I can't be a unique case. I used to be really, really fit, particularly sort of around early mid-20s. And after that, it started yo-yoing a bit. And that would be just down to motivation for whatever my circumstances were. So it's like there's a photo of me and Graham when, are we like 23 in that photo?
Yeah.
I had a bad injury as well around that sort of time, playing football, where I broke my leg in 3 places, dislocated my ankle. My ankle's absolutely knackered now. Like I've only probably got like 66% movement on it. Like I can walk and I can run without looking strange, but the next day I'm going to be in agony because my knees are countering for my ankles and things like that. And through trying to do stuff, and maybe I've been trying to run before I can walk, figuratively. Like I try and get back into something that I used to be able to do. And I'm basically on crutches afterwards for like a week or two. Like I started to play football again beginning of last year. Not played football for 7 years for good reason, because my body couldn't really take it. I thought, well, I would start playing the work 5-a-side, and ended up on crutches after 2 games. Just because my body couldn't hold up to it anymore. So my motivation's absolutely crashed. And I guess I can't be the only person out there. So is it all about just trying to find something that is sustainable, even if it's little and often, to get you going?
I think as a society, we have this idea that if you want to get fit, you have to run. You have to go on runs every day. Running is not the only form of exercise. And for example, with you, if you're finding your ankles are quite weak and they can't take very much, consistent,
punishment.
like force, you know, like with running. Try like swimming or something. Or go on like you know, the recumbent bikes that are in the gym.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be something out there that doesn't require as much. I mean, running and football are they're very like high impact things, especially on the ankles and the knees. And, you know, just finding something else that works for you and your body is so important. And people forget that there are so many forms of exercise. Even walking long distance is just as good as playing football and running. It just depends on what works best for you. Don't get on the treadmill and start sprinting, because your motivation is going to go right downhill from there, because it's not enjoyable sprinting. Most people don't enjoy sprinting, whereas a lot of people will enjoy walking. Put on a podcast, put on some music, and just go outside. And if you can walk for even like half an hour a day, that's going to make such a difference to your health. And if you are looking for weight loss, because if you go from doing nothing to walking every day, you will see that weight drop off.
I guess it gets your metabolism going, doesn't it? Because at the end of the day, if you're walking, you know, semi-briskly for half an hour and a half, whatever it is, that, I mean, this is where you can help me out with the science here, but my understanding is that heart rate's going to go up. You're going to be breathing in more oxygen. Your metabolism's going to get going. You're going to burn more calories and fat on your body anyway. So that's like just a really natural first step to do. And it probably has more impact than people realise.
Oh, yeah. I mean, in terms of exercise, the main reason I exercise, it's not for the way I look, it's for my internal health. As you exercise, your cardiovascular system becomes more efficient. So, like you said, your heart rate is increasing, you're getting in more oxygen. And due to that increased energy demand on the body, the heart's pumping harder and the lungs are having to become more efficient at getting in the oxygen. And long term, that is just like exercise is like the number one prevention method of heart disease and, you know, all of these old age problems. It's a lot of it is due to people not exercising and not improving their cardiovascular function.
Obviously, you've said yourself that you have some lazy days too, where or you feel like you're going to have them. If you could just drop everything for a weekend and spoil yourself with sort of like chilling out and eating whatever you wanted to do, what would you actually do? What would you eat? What would you actually lay around doing if you could just get away with it, knowing it wouldn't affect your health or anything like that for a weekend?
If I have like a chill day, I mean, it would probably be just like sitting watching YouTube all day or like listening to podcasts. And honestly, like I never actually get like I don't crave takeaways or, you know, burgers or anything. I mean, I'm vegetarian anyway, but like I don't crave that kind of greasy food. I actually, if I could choose one thing to eat all day, every day without fail, it would be peanut butter on toast. Like that, I could eat that all day, every day. And I still do this now sometimes, but especially when I was trying to put weight on, I would sit and spoon peanut butter out of the jar. And a lot of calories in that because you can get through it so easily. And that would be like my idea of heaven, just sitting there with a massive jar of peanut butter.
Graham, is this taking you back to the condiments conversation from the other week with me?
So we just eat condiments only.
Yeah. I have this terrible habit. You know, if I'm absolutely fucking starving and I'm cooking a meal that's going to take a while, I will occasionally just like eat teaspoons of condiments. Like my favourite
God,
ones.
no. Wait,
I know it's wrong, isn't it?
Like ketchup?
Yeah, with some salt on.
Is that right,
That
weirdo?
sounds horrible.
Oh, no.
I know. I said that as well, Athena. I mean, Athena's idea of treat like a jar of peanut butter is completely different to mine. Mine would be like the biggest bar of Galaxy that I could find, a beer, the popcorn, you know, anything
To be
like
fair,
that.
I do really like chocolate. Like chocolate would be like probably the second thing that I'd go for.
Pork scratchings. That's what I'd go for as well, actually.
Yeah, I hate pork scratchings.
Oh, I love them.
It's that thing when you bite into it and you just get that mush inside it. It's like, oh, no.
I've never eaten them, but I don't like pork anyway. Well, even when I ate meat, I never liked pork. So, yeah, definitely not. I would not enjoy that.
Do you know what's quite funny as well is this is the unhealthiest eating weekend I've had in about 2 years. And I'm doing a fitness and wellbeing episode. So
Why do you
Friday.
think you've had a really unhealthy weekend?
Well, Friday we ended up getting a Chinese takeaway. I don't even really like Chinese takeaway, but it was a really long, stressful day at work. We're still shopping for my partner's mum and dad because they're shielded. So we had to go and do like a big monthly shop for them. And we was like, do you know what? We're just going to get a takeaway. We literally don't have time to cook. And there's a Chinese near a mum and dad's that's all right by comparison for most Chinese takeaways, because most of them are pretty fucking terrible, if we're being honest. So I'm thinking, yeah, we'll order like one dish each with like some rice to share. And before we knew it, so I've got a dish, she's got a dish, we've then got a vegetable chow mein, because somehow that's going to be healthy way of getting vegetables in that's soaked in bloody oil. We've got egg fried rice and mini spring rolls.
Oh, Jesus.
Like, I know. Oh, yeah, we also had another side dish of crunchy, punchy beef, which is basically just like deep fried beef. I was thinking, this is really not a good start to the weekend.
Aren't the Chinese portions like massive as well?
This one isn't. This is one of the few that isn't massive, but they're still big enough. There's still enough to feed a person with one tray of food.
Honestly, though, like I think everybody does have those weekends where they just kind of eat shit and, you know, they just have a laugh and they have drinks and whatever. But, that's fine. Like although for the most part, I don't really ever have those kind of days, it's still important, especially if you have like social events and stuff, not to get too stressed about, you know, oh, I've had a takeaway, I've had alcohol. Like you still need to enjoy, you know, the treats of life like that.
Well, one thing I was going to say, it's probably the final question I have, was people who are going through their struggles with mental health. I don't think this gets emphasized enough that exercise is really, really good for a lot of people who are struggling with their mental health because of the endorphins that are released for a start and being able to sleep better at night.
Oh yeah, exercise is a massive, massive role in mental health. Like whether you like exercise or not, it's physiologically, like you said, it does cause this the release of endorphins. It also causes release of serotonin and dopamine, which are like, I mean, serotonin's termed like the happy hormone, so it'll make you feel good, and dopamine is responsible for motivation. So both of those are released when you exercise, and yeah, like that's like a physiological thing that it's not even a mental state. It's like that actually happens when you exercise.
Well, I was just going to say that, yeah, so just finding that kind of balance in life is key, and keeping up the consistency. But besides all the kind of fitness chat we've been going on about, do you do anything else, any other hobbies outside of that?
I mean, my main hobby at the moment is kind of my social media and my podcast. I'm putting a lot of time into the podcast because, like, I've just kind of started it, and I'm, you know, when you just really into something and you just want to do it every day. So I've been doing a lot for the podcast. I do like to be creative. I like to paint sometimes. This is going to sound really sad, but I like to colour, like, you know, the adult colouring books. I like to do those because I just find that really relaxing. And I guess just like just chilling with my friends when the lockdown isn't a thing. But yeah, I guess they're my, and then obviously the gym is kind of a hobby for me, even though it's part of what I do as my job, is also a hobby for me.
Do you think that keeping busy is like something that's key for yourself to kind of keep you moving?
Oh yeah, I love being busy. It's to the point where I'm too busy sometimes. Like I love to give myself lots of things to do, and then I get stressed and I'm like, why do I have so much to do? And I realize it's because I put it on myself. But I guess I'd rather be busy than not busy. I've also just finished writing a book as well, so that's been keeping me really, really busy.
Oh wow!
Now, so I'm kind of looking forward to not having that to do.
So, would you like to tell us a little bit about the book?
Oh yeah, so it's basically a book about my anorexia, so my eating disorder. I wrote a lot of diaries when I was, you know, like sat in hospital beds and, you know, going through it. And I remember when I think I was about 15 or 16 when I read this book, and it was basically a similar idea. She'd written a book about her journey with an eating disorder and her recovery, and she'd inserted like little bits of a diary into the book. And I remember reading that as like a 15-year-old, and I always remember thinking, I want to do that one day. And now I am fully recovered, and I've been recovered for a few years. I thought, you know what, now's the time. I'm going to write about my journey. I'm going to pull out my old diaries and have a look through those. And it's basically just a book explaining my whole eating disorder. And I've inserted like actual kind of bits of my diaries in there, mainly just to either help other people who are suffering and show them that you can recover from it. And also just for people who might know somebody who's suffering, how they can just, you know, get an insight into what that person is going through.
I think that's such a positive thing to do, especially after going through what you went through. I've even had an experience in my workplace, because I work at a college, where a young girl was basically declined her place because she felt she hadn't recovered sufficiently enough from anorexia that she could come in and do an art course effectively, and was breaking down to me over the phone, crying away, and she kept apologizing that she was going to, you know, decline her place. I just wish that she'd had a resource like that to maybe try and give her a bit of a lift, because it's such an awful thing to see a young person going through, or any person for that matter, but particularly when that person's still technically a child, sort of 16, 17 years old.
Yeah, I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. And I think eating disorders are quite misunderstood. A lot of people will see an anorexic and they'll be like, oh, she just needs to eat a bit more. And it's like, no, there's so much more to it than just the food. It's a mental disorder, and there's nothing you can do as an outside person other than just be there for that person. But I'm hoping that this book will show people there's a lot more to it, and that person is probably suffering like so much more than it seems on the outside, but they're suffering internally. And I just wanted people to have more of an insight, really. And even if it helps just one person who's suffering, then like it's done its job.
It's worth it.
100%.
I think in terms of our interview with you, Athina, I think we've probably covered everything we expected to cover, haven't we?
Yeah, I think we have, definitely, yeah. Good
stuff. I think we've gone through quite a lot, actually.
I think I've gone through quite a lot, and thank you for joining us. We hope you know, have a nice rest of the weekend, and the book, you know, does what he set out to do, and obviously you continue being successful with it.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me on. It's been very fun.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Athina. Take care.
Thank you.
So, Graham, that was our first guest and interview on the podcast.
It was Athina. She was fantastic. I think she was very insightful. She knew what she was talking about compared to us two, just waffling on.
She actually seemed to have a point, whereas we just ramble on. Yeah, it was really, really nice to have her. One thing I will point out when you'll get a little bit of inconsistency is I said I was having shepherd's pie for tea in the intro, but we ended up recording the interview with Athina a day later, didn't we? And I ended up copying out and having a pizza anyway, then having shepherd's pie the next night. So I technically did still have shepherd's pie, but I just doubled up on the grease.
You just doubled up on basically everything that you're eating. You just wanted to let people know what you're eating that day and the day after.
I just want to show off that I can eat shepherd's pie from Waitrose, a Chinese, and a calzone in the same weekend because I'm a boss.
Yeah, it wasn't about what you're eating, it's about where you got it from.
Yeah, exactly. I'm living like a king, which is probably why I've got no cash now. So yeah, I guess we'll be back in a couple of weeks. Hope everyone enjoys. Got a hell of a lot of ideas in the bank, haven't we, of what we want to talk about? So
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think we'll definitely have another guest on as well. That was a big success on our end.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, just to kind of summarise what we're confused about. We were confused about cycling as a start. Why our bums hurt after a ride now compared to when we were younger and we could take it, and having to buy padded seating and underpants for that kind of comfort. And your ring.
Padded female seating at that. Yeah.
You wanted a dinghy ring at one point, didn't you?
We did talk quite a lot about various pieces of kits related to cycling.
We did, yeah.
But not in a sort of like swatty middle class man kind of way.
Yeah, then we touched about why we're confused about us running, the injuries, all sorts.
Confused about people's crash diets as well and why people do it.
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah. Well, do you perhaps want to just dig out the socials tags for us, Graham?
Of course. By now, hopefully, you should know where to find us. And for our new listeners, our handles on Twitter and Instagram are at confusions of a 30 or the abbreviated version, Confusion Sofa 30.
So yeah, we're looking at doing a little bit more stuff on our social media now that Graham's become our promo man, and we're doing lots of little videos and things like that from time to time. No pressure.
No, just got to share the love, haven't we? So you see promos flying about here and there.
And you can take all the credit for those.
Lovely.
And then if production of the main podcast crap, that's my fault. That's how it works. So I think it's probably only one thing left to say then, really, isn't there? So, Graham, would you like to lead?
Yeah, so you stay safe, guys.
And we'll stay confused. Ta-ta!
Ta-ra.